Is Sarah Palin, the former Republican vice presidential candidate, seeking to destroy the Republican establishment's power base? I think so. This is going to blow your mind. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
Remember this name, Paul Nealon. He's running in a primary against the current House Speaker, Paul Ryan. This is going to be one of those stories that in the middle of this political season, while you're watching Hillary and Trump, you're going to kind of want to flip over and go, and what was happening with Paul Nealon? 1992 was when the Democrat Tom Foley was the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. Foley was beaten in a primary. No one saw it coming. No one saw it coming. Well, that was before you had social media like you have it right now. That was still at a time when the major news networks had a stranglehold on what we could and could not see, or did and did not see. We'll come back to that when we talk about Facebook a little bit later on, because it's coming back around to where some very powerful elite people are controlling what we see and don't see. But I digress. Tom Foley was beaten in a primary. Paul Ryan, current Republican Speaker of the House, might be on a short list to have his political head handed to him on a platter. The man's name is Paul Nealon. Let's take a look at his, this is his online ad. We're going to play it in its entirety because it's so entertaining and because it's so intense. And boy, oh boy, are people watching it. You'll see how come this is going to be fun. Watch this.
This bike was built in Wisconsin. We build some of the baddest bikes on the planet. Before Paul Ryan went to Washington, Wisconsin was a manufacturing powerhouse. Now, not so much.
I'm a businessman. I build things, create jobs. Jobs that allow people to pay their mortgage, put food on their table, put their kids through college. TPP is a job killer. It's going to kill American manufacturing. Mr. Speaker, you championed this trade deal. Why don't you come back to Wisconsin and debate me man to man, face to face, on the realities of TPP? And if you don't want to debate me, maybe we can arm wrestle.
Isn't that a riot? So this is a man's man. He's a businessman, and he's challenging Paul Ryan to arm wrestle. That was brilliant on his part, because there's just too many reporters that won't be able to resist to ask the speaker, so are you going to arm wrestle him? Well, as we're going to see in the next segment, Sarah Palin is all in to take Paul Ryan out. Now here's the question, and this is what I don't know. Paul Ryan is a fairly popular fella in Wisconsin. What we don't know is if people are soured on him. All right? He stayed out thus far of the Republican presidential primary battles, but he refused, after Trump became the clear winner, he has still refused to endorse Trump. Now, this is a problem because Paul Ryan is the chairman of the upcoming Republican National Convention. Wait a minute. This convention has always traditionally been for the coronation of the Republican nominee. The chairman of the convention is there to help, support, to serve, to assist the Republican nominee. And now Paul Ryan is saying that he won't help? Or actually, that he won't yet endorse Trump? Whoa, 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 what's that about? Is this about the two former President Bushes refusing to endorse Trump? Is this about Jeb Bush, Lindsey Graham? What's this about? Well, I'm not quite sure yet. I've got some ideas, but this I know. There is a very intense woman from Alaska who has vowed to jump into Paul Ryan's life, and it is not going to be pretty. If you own a business and would like to advertise on our program, please contact us. We are currently seen on over 130 television stations from coast to coast. We air at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then all times are local. We have a lot of reach, friend, and this is an opportunity at a great price for you to get your product or your service in front of hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people. Also, if there's something that's important to you and you'd like to have a month where you just say thank you to this ministry or promote a certain ministry or a certain cause, contact us. Our rates are incredibly affordable. You'd be surprised. And you, again, can reach into hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of homes. We're currently seen possibly in over 30 million homes. So give us a call, give us an email, and we'll put a commercial up for you. After the failed McCain-Palin ticket of 2008, which failed because of McCain and his advisors, Sarah Palin resigned as governor of Alaska and then went on a mission to become the Republican Party's kingmaker. In the 2010 election cycle, when the U.S. House was taken by the Republicans, and when Republicans picked up some seats in the Senate, it was Sarah Palin who, more than any other person, was involved in making that happen. She literally made herself a kingmaker. If my memory is correct, she raised more money for various candidates than anybody in the party, with the possible exception, and I'm going from memory here, than of the fellow who was W. Bush's chief political advisor, Karl Rove. So forgive me for stammering here, but the point is very critical. Sarah Palin, after being chained during the McCain election, where he lost tragically, she said, I am now free. I'm not governor of Alaska anymore. I am not the VP candidate. I don't have to do what the Republican Party establishment tells me to do. In fact, I don't even like them. In fact, I think I want to see the faces of the U.S. Congress changed, and I'm going to raise money and campaign and make that happen. Whoo-hoo! And she did. More than any person in America, she did. So she became a force unto herself, but still there was bad blood between her and Karl Rove, between her and other establishment people. To this day, they mock her. She's not intelligent. She's got a funny accent. You know what? She's got more wits than most of you all combined together and tied up in a burlap bag. But again, I digress, because right now what matters is that she has decided she's going to go after Paul Ryan. Why? Because Ryan did not do what should be his duty to do as a Republican Speaker of the House. Once the primary process was over, okay, I'm in for Trump as well. If it had been Cruz, it would have been his duty to say, okay, I'm in for Cruz. Because as the chairman of the Republican convention that's coming up, that's his duty to the party. He has still said, He's not ready to endorse Trump. Oh, watch what Sarah Palin has to say about that.
I think Paul Ryan is soon to be cantored as an Eric Cantor. His political career is over, but for a miracle, because he has so disrespected the will of the people. And as the leader of the GOP, the convention, certainly he is to remain neutral, and for him to already come out and say who he will not support was not a wise decision of his. I think why Paul Ryan is doing this, Jake, is it kind of screws his chances for the 2020 presidential bid that he's gunning for. If the GOP were to win now, that wouldn't bode well for his chances in 2020, and that's what he's shooting for. So a lot of people with their never Trump or not right now Trump mantra going on, they have their different reasons. I think that one is Paul Ryan's reason.
Well, specifically, when you talk about him being Eric Cantor, Eric Cantor was the House Majority Leader who was challenged in the primary by a conservative candidate who got a lot of grassroots support, and that was a big surprise. Paul Ryan is facing a challenge in the Republican primary in Wisconsin. The primary's coming up. It's August 9th. The candidate is, I believe his name is Paul Nealon. Are you planning to support his challenger?
Well, that's a good question. Seeing as I haven't even got to call him and tell him that I'm supporting him. But yes, I will do whatever I can for Paul Nealon.
Now, for those of you who don't remember, Eric Cantor was taken out. His political career was ended by a Tea Party candidate in a primary. And now she's saying that she's willing to help Paul Nealon take out the current House Speaker, the current Republican House Speaker. Now, I've got to take a break, but when we come back, I don't think that there is a way for me to overemphasize how dramatic a moment this is in Republican Party politics. I'll explain why when I come back. But friends, to quote a common movie phrase right now, this is civil war. Friend, this program is supported by friends like you who believe in what we are doing. We run a very tight ship. Thankfully, we are on over 130 stations across the country, having tremendous impact. We get emails every day. We get letters in the mail, not every day, but almost every day. We hear from people who love what we're doing. What people don't understand is that it's sort of expensive to produce a television show like this. It doesn't require earth-shattering funds, but it does require financial help. So I am asking you, if you enjoy this program, throw us a $10 or a $20 bill every once in a while, or even a $50 or a $100 check. You see the address there on the screen. Your gifts are not tax deductible, by the way, because we want to be able to say what we want to say regarding politics without the IRS telling us no. So if you like the program, I ask for your support. Inside of the Republican Party, there has been a battle for ideological and monetary control. All right, at the end of the day, those are the two things that matter the most. So the ideological control that fight has usually been won by conservatives, people like Phyllis Schlafly, who have gone out of their way to be on the committee that creates the platform, the Republican Party platform. Bob Dole, remember Bob Dole? Not President Dole, alienated a massive portion of the Republican base, including me, when he said in 1996, I don't have to do what the platform says. Basically said, I don't care what the platform says. I'll do what I want. Poor move. Poor move. There was no President Dole. So we have Paul Ryan. Now, you've got the ideology and you've got the money, those two things. Donald Trump, up until now, has not been looking for fat cat donors. So the money did not matter to him. He wasn't being bought. He wasn't frantically spending time on the phone like these candidates are, asking for money. I've been a candidate 2 times, seriously 2 times. Once in 1998 for the U.S. House, and once in 2006 running for the state Senate of Florida against Jim King in a state race. An enormous amount of time. Oh, and I ran for president in 2012 just to try and give Obama a black eye and run ads showing aborted babies, which we did very successfully. Almost $1 million we raised for that in those races. So it's so hard to raise money. It's so consuming. It's just, there was one time where I was raising money for a friend of mine. He was running for the U.S. House in Ohio. And I spent 2 days. I had 3 people with me, 2 telephones. And they would dial the phone, and it would go back and forth from phone to phone. And they would try and get one person on the phone and say, Randall will be right with you. Please hold. And I would be talking to somebody else, just begging for money. Please give Joe money. He needs your help. He has a chance to win. Hang up. Thank you so much. We can count in for $500. Okay, click. Yes, hi, this is Randall. Thanks for holding. I really appreciate all you've done in the past. Joe needs your help. Can we count on you for $1,000? Don't talk. Listen. Okay, thank you so much. Or I understand these are tough times. We'll at least keep them in your prayers. So you just go through this over and over and over, and it is so draining, and it is so distasteful. And you ought to try it. Try it for an hour where you just call people or go face to face and just ask for money. It's rough. Donald Trump has almost nobody on his plane. No huge staff. He's not sitting there dialing the phone. I need money, I need money, I need money. He's drinking, some kind of a fancy water or juice out of a fancy glass while he buckles his gold-plated buckles on Trump 1. There's a portion that is of the stress that he just has not had to deal with, okay? Then there's the ideological question. Well, Trump has dotted most of the I's and crossed most of the T's. Pro-Second Amendment, pro-life, wants judges like Anton Scalia. Where he has left the plantation is on trade and on the wall. Because McCain wanted to grant amnesty to all these people because McCain's rich buddies at the Better Business Bureau want cheap labor, and they don't want to have federal investigators coming in finding out if all these employees are legal. So this was about fat Republican moneyed people wanting cheap labor, give them amnesty. Donald Trump says, oh no amnesty, build a wall. And you're really, really wealthy people who have multiple planes, multiple boats, multiple mansions, who are at the top of a corporate food chain that is outsourcing American jobs to the Pacific Rim. Okay, China, Korea, wherever. And Trump said, no, I believe in free trade, but I believe in smart trade. And then he's threatening companies that go to Mexico with a tariff, or he's threatening China with a tariff. So he has broken rank with the inside of the Republican establishment, not just with personalities like the Bushes and Lindsey Graham and all that, but he doesn't have the pressure of finances on him. And the places where he is not in sync with the Republican Party platform or with what the Republican leaders really want, most of the people want what he wants. He stomped the opposition and said, build a wall. He has stomped the opposition while saying that he's going to punish China or punish Mexico, or companies like Carrier that go to Mexico, they're going to pay. Even though the average American says, all right, I get it. If you do that, I'm ultimately the one paying it. I mean, we're going to pay the tax. We get it. We're not stupid. But we're so disgusted with these jobs going overseas, so disgusted with our plants being shut down, like Paul Nealon in that commercial, that we're ready to join Trump and just rumble, man. Let's see what happens. So Trump has literally, besides the personality fights, he's been able to eliminate the stress of fundraising, and he is with the platform on the conservative issues that matter to many of us, but also he's become very populist and very nationalist, America first. And It's taken a weapon away. It's actually disarmed a lot of the big shot Republicans. They have nothing to hit him with. They would have thought, oh, we can beat him up with this. No, he doesn't need your money. And where he's drifted away from conservative Republican values, according to you guys, the voters agree with him. And now Sarah Palin says, let's bring this fight public. Let's bring this fight really public. I, a former Republican candidate for president, I'm going to try and take out for vice president, I'm going to try and take out a former Republican vice presidential candidate. Palin 2008, Paul Ryan 2012 with Mitt Romney. She's declared open war. And by doing so against Ryan, she's declaring open war on the Republican establishment. It's no longer behind the scenes. Now it's personal. We're going to try and take out your fair-haired boy who replaced John Boehner because ethically and ideologically, he's part of the problem. So let's cantor him. Let's cut him off at the knees and send shockwaves of horror through the Republican Party. Then, when they see Paul Ryan's political head on a pike, then they'll know that they're in real danger. This is civil war. I guess Paul Nealon is Captain America. Does that make Sarah Palin Black Widow? I want to invite you to go to our website. Almost every book that I have ever written is available as a PDF online for free. We have a ton of products, training materials, tools that are available for you for free. All we ask for is that you give us your email address. That's it, so that we can stay in touch with you and, yes, from time to time, ask you to support this work. So I'm inviting you, go to the website. Now, for those of you who say, well, I don't want a PDF, I want a real book. You can get one of my books. All you have to do is pay for shipping and handling and then give whatever gift you want. And if you can't afford anything, we'll send you the book for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Why are we doing all this? Because we want to change the direction of the country and we need to raise up a fresh generation of warriors to do that. That's why we have this tool. I invite you, go to the website, see for yourself. Most of us have seen movies or read stories where a young person came into way too much money and way too much power and influence way too early, okay? And then they become a jerk, they become a tyrant, they make a fool of themselves until some crash happens and hopefully their life is redeemed, or they go on to become the villain, okay? That's what happens. Enter Mark Zuckerberg. He is the founder, the CEO of Facebook. He's 31 years old right now, okay? He was a multi-billionaire when he was in his 20s. That's not in his interest. And it's proven, the storyline that I've explained to you has proven itself out with this poor young man's life. Right now, allegedly, 167 million Americans. That's more than half the population. More than half the population use Facebook. I am happy to tell you, I have not been on a Facebook for, what has it been, 2 years, 3 years? I don't even know. Do we have a Facebook account? We have one. I never talk about it here on the show. I despise these things. Now, please, if you want to follow our Twitter and follow our Facebook, go ahead. But here's where I have to finish up. I'm almost out of time. It just came out in the press in a very big way that their so-called news department isn't news at all. It's there to suppress news. It's worse than ABC and CBS because they don't have to devote time to it. In other words, what's trending in the news, it's an algorithm. It's just simply somebody writes a program and the computer says, oh, look, all this is being looked at right now with Ted Cruz. But Zuckerberg doesn't like Ted Cruz, doesn't like conservatives. So he suppresses the news and has his people take it off the list. It's not costing them anything to allow it to do its natural thing. It actually costs him money to suppress the truth. That's the kind of man that we're dealing with. A coward because he caved into the Mohammed crazy people, and now a deceiver. He's lying to the American public. A boy with too much money, Mark Zuckerberg, you're not a good guy. You're a bad guy.